Hi everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Bright Star YouTube channel. My name is Jen Howell and I'm a practicing astrologer, energetic healer, intuitive counselor, and ceremonialist with Bright Star. It's so good to meet up with you, even if it is just in this virtual space. And I think the last time I did a video was on a different YouTube channel, maybe about a year ago. And I'm just really feeling like it's time to do more of the audio visual and get a little bit away from writing so I can have a more interactive connection with people here. So again, thank you so much for checking this out. If you want to see what's going on the Bright Star Facebook page or on the website, or to learn more about what I do, to check out the ever-evolving Bright Star Cosmic Column newsletter that's more or less in podcast format for monthly subscribers, you can check out the links below, and feel free to drop me a line anytime. So, astrologically, we are in quite the time right now. We're in the midst of eclipse season. We, have this big solar eclipse in Leo coming up on the 21st. If we're in the United States, this is going to be a big one for us as a nation. We are already seeing it with the resignation of Steve Bannon yesterday, which I have to say, this eclipse, even though it hasn't happened yet, will be happening right close to his natal moon. Bye-bye. I think we're going to see more of that to come as the days and weeks go by here. But to veer away from politics a little bit, because I would rather talk about how this impacts each of you on a more personal level, let's get right to it. What are eclipses about, and how can we work with them to really heal, to move toward more of our purpose, to live a more joyful life, to really fulfill whatever mission it is we came to this planet to fulfill? Eclipses happen at full and new moon times when the sun and the moon are close to points called the nodes. Now, the nodes are the points in the orbit of the moon around the earth that are at the most southern point, that is the south node, and at the most northern point, that is the north node. So if you were to look at, let's say, your personal birth chart, and we find where the south node is, we would see where you're bringing in a lot of gifts. Whether you believe in past lives or not, for whatever reason, these are gifts, skills, abilities, insights that you just come in with. So it's that. South node also shows where, okay, like here's some of my gifts on overdrive that are now imbalances, and I am too stuck in the old rut, and I need to move forward in the direction of balance to really achieve my purpose in this lifetime. And that opposite end of the axis, because the nodes always exist on an axis, would be the north node. Now, the north node is always awkward. It's always uncomfortable. You're really pushing ahead to a totally new frontier. It is the balancing traits you need. And so, you really start to click into your nodal purpose, like later on in life, like after age 27 or so, you really start to feel maybe like, okay, right, I'm getting this down. At least that's how it's been for me. Transits to the birth chart in tandem with Saturn return, other things. So I make that analogy because the transiting nodes, meaning the nodes as they're moving now and what they're triggering in the collective, the nodes show where we as a society are being called to shed old stuff and integrate, the best of that really with the direction of the north node. So right now, the north node is in Leo, as is this eclipse, and the south node is in Aquarius. So just talking a little bit about those signs. Leo is very, very heart-centered. It is very playful. It's the inner child. It is your inner radiance. It is, Leo is ruled by the sun, and the planets in our galaxy revolve around the sun. The sun is the center. I shine. Here I am. This is me. The sun holds everything together. So really, when we're talking about Leo, it is letting your gifts shine. It is being confident enough, stripping away all the stuff that gets in the way of you just radiating your divine gifts and really stepping into the fullness of who you are. And Aquarius on the south node, very different. Again, polar opposites. Aquarius is like, what sacrifices am I willing to make for the good of all? Detachment from emotion, detachment from play, the scientist, very in our head, very analytical, radical breakthroughs in technology, liberation, quick changes, not caring what other people think. I'm going to break the chains, convention be damned, So we have this axis going on right now where it's like, well, how can we really honor and express ourselves while still, really playing our role in the collective? Can we, and I say this as a nation right now here in the U.S. with what we're going through with white supremacy and all this other nonsense, stuff that I am convinced is purging. It's coming up and out. Ask a person of color, ask somebody who's Jewish, ask somebody of a different religion than yours, especially like the Christian denomination. Unfortunately, ask those people what their experiences have been like, and I think you would find that systemic racism is far more prominent than a lot of people with white privilege or religious privilege would even realize in this country. So we have that coming up right now, and there's many other astrological influences at play in that, not just these eclipses, but this is a really good analogy for that. Can we live and let ourselves shine while letting our neighbor shine too? Do I really have to fear them because all of a sudden I'm not being validated for my specialness? Well, we're all divine. Them shining their light and radiating who they are doesn't make you any less important. Okay, so more light's shining, guess what? You get more light, you get more illumination. Okay, so Leo as a sign can be really easily hurt if their ideas or their time, their talents, their affections are not reciprocated. And, that Aquarius South Node, it's like, well, couldn't really care less. Not to say Aquarius people don't have a heart. That's totally not true. But it's easier for them as people to detach from that than it would be for somebody with a lot of Leo energy. So anyway, collectively, live and let your light shine. Let's all really join together, find creative solutions to these issues. And in getting back to a more personal place with this, and talking about, what are eclipses, because I'm really good at diatribes and my mind kind of wanders off. So, solar eclipses. It is a new moon, essentially, where we have the nodes activated, and it really is the beginning and or ending, both really wrapped into one, of an 18-year cycle. If you have planets between 26 degrees of Leo and 0 degrees of Virgo, this is a huge time for you. So if your birthday is in this time frame, yeah, I'm excited for you because this is a powerful new beginning. So, at solar eclipses, we're really having this huge cosmic download of energy that's coming in. Times are accelerated, lessons are accelerated. Eclipses are great at showing us, oh, this over here, that can't happen anymore. What is no longer serving you in the days and weeks and maybe even months after the eclipse, it's going to fall by the wayside. You will be unceremoniously thrown off and or on the track that you need to be if you resist the changes that you have to make or you've been avoiding for a while, right? Clarity can come in a flash. You'll find that in the, I would say maybe like the day before an eclipse to the day or two after, schedules get really weird. Like our whole sense of time kind of changes. You can think of any eclipse almost like you're hitting, like you go to do something on your computer and then it just restarts. It reboots. You can't change it. So that then takes precedence over whatever plans you've had. Be flexible during eclipse times because the same thing happens with us. You'll find that things just get weird and wonky, sleep patterns are disrupted, interesting dreams, interesting synchronicities. Just pay attention to what the cosmos has in the way of messages for you. But, new moons are really seed planting time. So solar eclipses are big seed planting time, right? Big illumination. As a very broad general thing to talk about, okay, Bernadette Brady is a really wonderful astrologer who is a foremost expert on eclipses, and she's done really incredible work with what's called the Saros series, And eclipses always come in these families called the Saros series. And so they'll start at the North Pole or the South Node and then move, in whatever direction until they reach the other pole, and then the eclipse series ends. So this family of eclipses, the first one would have been the lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Aquarius on the 7th of August. We, have this eclipse on Monday that we're approaching. These are Saros series 1 North. And Bernadette Brady puts forward the idea that they all carry a certain resonance, even though the specifics of the eclipse are going to change with each one, that there's these general themes that are going to maybe occur. So keep this in mind as you are moving through this eclipse season, which officially ends on September 7th with the Pisces full moon. Saros Series 1. Unexpected events involving friends or groups place a great deal of pressure on personal relationships. These relationship issues may loom large as the eclipse affects the chart. The individual would be wise not to make any hasty decisions, since information is distorted and possibly false. This eclipse also has an essence of tiredness or health problems attached to it. So that's more like, the overlying gist and energy. Play with that, take that as you will. I think it's an important interpretation piece. The last eclipse that happened in this family, this is important because this is the 18-year cycles that they happen in, would have been in 1999. So think about what era of life you were in, what was beginning or ending at this time in 1999. And then the next time this 1 North will come back around is in 2035. Okay? So what about this eclipse in particular? I've talked a little bit about Leo, self-expression, play, really letting yourself shine, letting yourself radiate. We have 3 planets in Leo for this one. The sun and the moon, of course, very close to the North Node. And then Mars in Leo, only 3 degrees away from the North Node. So what's that about? Having the courage to let your own creative and divine potential seed crack open, possibly in unprecedented ways. So are you willing to finally step out there? Do you feel impelled to finally step out there, to push ahead, to really get into the essence of who you are and let that be shared wide and far? Sing the song of your heart and don't worry about what they think. Because the more that you liberate yourself to let your gifts shine, to speak your truth, to have the courage to say, this is who I am. The world is my stage. I am going to share my gifts, no matter who accepts them and how, trusting that you'll land on your feet, right? That's a huge part of this eclipse. And something else that I think is real interesting is that we have this Virgo Leo mix of energies happening. Leo is, the playful, spontaneous, brave, courageous energy. It's the child. It's just, maybe like, I think of me as a kid, because I have a degree in music education, and for the longest time, I was really staunch on that classical path until I had a head injury a few years ago. And so then the perfectionist syndrome, coupled with this weird feeling of failure, really caught up with me. And up until very recently, I've been really fighting with myself. How am I going to get back into music? It's a part of my calling. How am I going to do this? This eclipse happening on my midheaven, which is the career point, actually. And last night I did cacao ceremony on my own, and I drummed and chanted this impromptu chant to Goddess Bridget. And, for those of you who are really feeling this eclipse energy, you'll know what I mean when I feel like it just burst open. And it was like I walked out of that self-ceremony a completely different person than when I went into it. But in calling in this Leo Virgo energy then, Virgo is the sign of the meticulous, detail-oriented, measured, perfectionist, categorizing things, sorting, organizing, tossing, make it better than when you found it, constant self-improvement. Virgo really is the sign of the perfectionist. And if you're a true perfectionist, which I'm a recovering perfectionist, it's like you find yourself saying, well, if I can't do it perfect, why even bother? Heck with it. And how often do those of us who take mastery and excellence seriously get in our own way? What about getting out pots and pans, like I think of me as a kid drummer, Why can't we just, as a 30-something-year-old, put the pots and pans out on the kitchen floor and just bang? Just let it come out. Like, see where it leads you. Get out of the monkey mind and the left brain and expectations that are really very self-sabotaging, or the little voice of the inner critic, or this person over here who says, oh, well, there's a right way to do it, or the wrong way, or this or that. Why can't we just create right now for the sake of creating? It is what we're called to do. And so the Leo Virgo really says, well, let's create, and then when we get comfortable with that, let's temper that with some of this Virgo energy. Let's have a container for these ideas to brew in. Let's bring our maturity and our attentiveness to the detail while not forgetting that it's about joy and it's about expression. Okay, because when you're expressing yourself, when you are creating, we are creators. No matter what it is you do, I don't care if you're writing a cookbook, or you're renovating houses, or you're a musician, you've got a blog, you make jewelry. It doesn't matter. Photography, creating. This is about create. Be brave, have fun, get into the joy of doing it for doing it, and let your mind be rewired, reattuned. With this Virgo Mercury retrograde is really like purging the old mental patterns that just aren't working anymore. Seeing data and facts and your own set of skills and your own resources through a whole new set of eyes here. Okay, so let's let this combination work for us. Mars is going to be trining a stationing Saturn for this eclipse. Saturn in Sagittarius, which is like we've been working on these big inner visions since Saturn's been in Sag for a couple of years. And, as Saturn moves forward, just in a handful of days here, I think a lot of us are going to feel like, okay, I'm ready to really build that foundation. I've got my clear sense of self. I have vision. I found my truth. I found a larger calling. I'm going to make it happen. Mars in Leo brings the passion and the vivaciousness, which this is also a great time for romance. I have to say, Leo is just full of love and expression. So if you feel impelled to take that chance on somebody you're interested in, or you want to take your own romance to the next level, it's a good time to do it. So Mars and Saturn, it's a dream team for building something real worthwhile. And the fire signs, oh yeah, bust out of the gate and make that happen. And this eclipse is exactly trying to Uranus. Woo, Uranus is the great liberator, okay? So Uranus in Aries has really been getting us, impelling us to find our own sense of freedom. And, busting out of old paradigms, blazing new trails. I don't care what you think, this is what I'm going to do. It is that warrior, liberator, equal rights fighter, and it's all of that. So the sun and moon connecting with Uranus right now, really life-changing, revolutionary stuff happening. The lightning fast downloads and inspiration, and this is just, the courage vibes are flying all around, guys and gals. So really dig into that. Let it just guide you right now, okay? Oh gosh, Jupiter sextiling Mars. Jupiter is in Libra, the relationship planet, the relationship sign. Big opportunities and growth coming in the way of relationships through the fall. And then Jupiter moves into Scorpio in October, bringing this whole other level of depth. So Scorpios, get ready for a really good next year. It's coming your way. But, Jupiter, Mars, big ambitions, big inspiration, networking, connecting with the right people right now to make the dreams happen. And you'll find with Mercury being retrograde right now that ideas from the past, things you've studied before, concepts you've tried to master before, maybe the time wasn't right, you let it go. Maybe you're like me and your inner perfectionist sabotaged you to the point where you just weren't creating and expressing. This could be a time of really bringing it back, revisiting again. Connect with the right people where you can uplift and support each other as you allow for this integration of seemingly opposite concepts within your own psyche, within your own soul and spirit. Really merge things together, find the balance and equilibrium, get into the joy of life and living right now. So that's a large part of the gifts that this solar eclipse has to offer. If you have a chance to get out and watch it, please do. It's going to be incredible. Do so safely. I'm in the UP of Michigan. I can't really see the whole eclipse with my own eyes. I'm probably going to spend that time in meditation. We'll see. I just let the waves take me where they do. I hope you do too. And if you are in the Marquette area, tomorrow, which is Sunday, August 20th at 2 p.m., there's a group of us that are meeting out at the gazebo at Presque Isle. We are going to do a cacao ceremony, which unfortunately, the last order of cacao didn't come in, and I think I'm going to scrape by with just enough for the people that have already RSVP'd. But no, Cacao Deva works in incredible ways. So if you want to come out for that and there isn't cacao, we're still going to do a water and fire ceremony. I'm going to talk about Goddess Bridget with this eclipse. I'm going to talk about her as this solar goddess, this patron of creative arts, of mothering energies, of being the sovereign queen, goddess, ruler of the people of the British Isles, of her children everywhere, doing it with humility. Going to really talk about that. Going to do some intention setting by the fire, collect water right from Lake Superior to make eclipse water. Going to do some drumming, chanting, creating, enjoying the beautiful nature. So that's happening at 2 tomorrow. If there isn't enough cacao, please come join us anyway. Small love donation if you want. Still come and enjoy the vibes. We'll do some group healing. And that also reminds me, because like I said, I can be the queen of diatribes, and I don't remember if I talked about a live stream video. Gemini Brett, again, incredible astrologer, he's one of my favorites right now, had told the story of Goddess Bridget and her relation to this eclipse in terms of where the fixed star Regulus is. Regulus has recently moved from Leo into Virgo. Now Virgo, also bears mentioning, is the sign of like the earth priestess, among other things, like the earth woman, the mother, the nurturing, really looking out for the people, caretaking. So with Regulus now in the early degrees of Virgo, and this eclipse at 28 of Leo, those energies are really infused here. So I loved how he brought up this idea of Goddess Bridget as somebody who would, in this mythology and these stories, would rule the people with such love and compassion and, making the sacrifices she needed to make sure that her people, her children, were safe. So her energies, I feel, are looming large in this eclipse. So if there's any solar goddess or other solar deity that you feel is really calling to you at this time, connect with them. Again, this is, I feel, also with the planets in Cancer. We have Ceres in Cancer, which is a co-ruler of Virgo, the grain goddess Demeter, really again, looking after the people, the physical nurturance, the emotional nurturance. Ceres opposite Pluto right now. We're facing the system. We are looking at how we can do better with raising our children, nurturing our children, nurturing the people, period. Keeping our home turf safe for everyone, period. And I feel that, Bridget with her water and fire magic is just a perfect example for getting into this divine feminine energy that's also accelerating at the time of this eclipse. So connect with that if you feel called. Anyway, 2 p.m. tomorrow, Presque Isle. I would love to see you there. In the meantime, many blessings on this eclipse for you. Take time out to just, ground into the earth if you feel like things get a little wild for you, or it's overwhelming, or you don't know what to do with the energy. Create. Hug a tree. Spend some time in nature. Do what you need to do. Thank you so much again for watching this. If you've got questions or comments, feel free to pop it in the comment section below. And I look forward to connecting with you again sometime very soon. Awa and blessings.